Depression is one of the most common illnesses found in human beings. It afflicts 20% of the population worldwide. It may be caused by episodic misfiring of areas of the left frontal lobe and the left temporal lobe as a result of genetic, environmental, social or physiological factors. Women are 2 to 3 times more likely to fall victim to the mood disorder than men. Anjali Chhabria, eminent psychiatrist who has taught at Cooper Hospital and has been the head of the Bombay Psychiatry Society, now runs her own clinic called the Mind Temple. Working with her in the clinic are not only a qualified team of sociologists and counselors, a mix of therapists, as she aims to provide holistic healing to her patients. She believes in getting to the root of the problem before beginning the treatment and aid her patients in living a happier and a more fulfilling life. Dr. Yusuf Macheswala works with many top hospitals in Mumbai like Masina Hospital, Saifi Hospital and Mumbai Police Hospital. He specializes in serious psychiatric problems like schizophrenia, bipolar disorders, major depressive disorders and a whole host of other psychiatric problems.
Psychiatry has always such a big stigma associated with it that every time I tell someone that I am a psychiatrist, the first look is of confusion and then they will turn around and tell me, "My God, you see so many people yourself, haven't you gone mad?" And that is something that I remember starting my career with. The stigma attached is so strong that even today if someone has an emotional disorder, instead of taking the person to a psychiatrist, first there will be gurus who will be consulted. People will think that black magic is done on them and they will try and do anything to make the person alright, take the person for a holiday, maybe do some different kinds of pujas in the house or even try and remove black magic, besides taking the person to a mental health professional. When a person is suffering from depression, what happens is because of the continuous low thoughts and the sad thoughts, the person feels not good himself and thinks that he or she is not good enough to do anything. The self-esteem suffers and you constantly compare yourself with other people and think that each and every other person is better than you. You feel that you are not good for anything. You may feel totally worthless. You may feel nothing positive is going to happen in the future and there is just no hope for you. This process goes on and on till either some of your closed ones decide to take you for help or you decide to be brave enough and say, "Okay, I'm going to get out of this and get help myself." People think that psychiatrists will give lots and lots of medicines. Once you take a medicine from a psychiatrist, all your life you will be taking pills and most of them are going to be sleeping pills and hence they do not want to be seen at a psychiatrist's clinic. But these are all myths of psychiatry and today we have newer and newer treatments to help a person to come out of his problem. Also, a lot of science has progressed, so we know why this problem has started. So many a times, just as a person has high blood pressure or diabetes, where there are some hormones which are affected, the same way in psychiatry there are some neurochemicals or neurohormones in the brain which are actually in a state of imbalance, and all we need to do is give a little corrective medicine and the person becomes alright and becomes functional. There are lots of causes of depression. Some people are genetically prone to depression. So for example, if somebody has a strong family history, if a parent or a grandparent or any other relative is suffering from mood disorder, then you are prone to depression. Then there are certain personalities which are prone to depression. So for example, if you are over emotional and oversensitive, you may suffer from depression. If you are a person who does not share and is oversensitive to the slightest of things, you may feel that people are saying things about you and may land up having a low self-esteem. And because of that, you may be the one who is going through depression. Also, certain ages are more prone. So for example, puberty is an age which the person could go through depression. Then somebody enters adulthood, a person becomes 21, 22, because this is a moment where you're supposed to become an adult and you're supposed to take responsibility. So this is also an age at which depression can strike. Then after childbirth, the woman is more prone to depression, and as people become senior citizens, this is a time that, many a times what we call as an empty nest syndrome. This is the time where children go away, where you have the time to yourself, but you really do not know what to do with it. This is also the time where menopause hits you, and menopause is something which hits both men and women, and you start feeling old. So suddenly life seems different, and if a person does not cope with this phase of their life, they may land up with depression. Certain professions, like for example where your sleep-wake schedule is affected. So if you're a pilot or an air hostess who has different sleep-wake schedules, you may be prone to depression. Then there are those who are in very volatile professions where your luck could change on a daily basis. So for example, if you are dealing with something volatile like maybe the share market, you may be more prone. Or even people in the film industry where you're constantly being judged by your last success, or you are as good as what you were yesterday or the turnover that you brought yesterday. So when I meet people in such professions, like for example actors, I often tell them that it is important what you do when you are not working. That is going to keep your mood intact, because this is the time that you could suffer from depression. And even though the world thinks that you are very good and thinks very highly of you, you may start feeling very lonely, feel low, and wonder who you should talk to, because there is a lot of loneliness at the top. So it's important that you stick to your school friends. You have a lot of people who you can talk your heart to. Physically, we do a lot of things to take care of ourselves, but it's very important that you have a routine, because a routine is something that keeps you out of depression. So even if you have nowhere to go to, it's important that you get up, just have a bath and get out of the house. Going for some daily exercise, maybe a daily walk, or any kind of an exercise that makes you feel good. It could be dancing, jogging, yoga, whatever suits you. This is something that helps natural hormones to be released, which are positive hormones. And these people do not suffer from depression as others. It's important to keep the child in you alive and do these activities on a daily basis, because this helps you to be in touch with the lighter side of life and not take things so seriously. Rukmani, a 35-year-old lady, was brought to us with weight gain, with loss of interest in anything, with thyroid problems, with high blood pressure, with diabetes. Her husband complained that she was not interested in anything and she used to often get irritated. They were sharing a very bad relationship. She has 2 children, but Rukmani just would sleep the whole day. She would eat anything and everything that came her way. The doctors were complaining that she was not taking care of herself. Her diabetes was shooting up, and her blood pressure medicines were often just kept there because she would forget to take them. Rukmani had no friends. She used to just sit at home, and often she was found to be abusing sleeping pills. And often when I asked her why she was taking the sleeping pills and since when she had started it, she said that since the last 10 years, she was finding it difficult to sleep. Rukmani has a boy who is 11 years old, and history revealed that Rukmani, after the birth of the second child, had just lost interest in everything. She was irritated, she couldn't take care of the child. The husband just did not know how to cope because he thought that probably keeping a maid would help, so he kept a servant. Rukmani would have difficulty getting along with her mother-in-law because the mother-in-law would expect her, participate in the household chores or just take care of the child. But Rukmani felt that she did not feel any love or bond towards the child. and was just not interested whether the children went to school, did not go. He was finding it difficult to cope and just did not know what to do. There was no sex life for the last 5 years because Rukmani was just not interested. So even if the mother-in-law just suggested something to her that why don't you help or why don't you take care of the child, she would start crying and complain to the husband. Postpartum depression is very, very common. But often what happens is that the only people that you come in touch with are the pediatricians or the gynecologist, and often the doctors themselves are scared to refer the person to a psychiatrist. People do not want to understand when a woman goes through postpartum depression, it is not only she who suffers, it is the entire family who suffers. Now when she came to us, we put her on a combination of different treatments. We gave her a little bit of antidepressant because it was required. The body had been fighting through depression for a long time. What we saw was that once she took a few weeks treatment, slowly she started getting natural sleep. Her mood started getting better. She started spending happier times with the children. The children were now happy to be with her, and her interest in life started coming up. Maybe around 8 to 10 weeks later, Rukmani was a different person. Little behavior therapy was done with the children to help them cope with the mother, because they had also become irritable. They would also just do what they feel like. They would not listen to anyone. The husband was counseled about depression and was taught how to positively cope with her. We did a little sessions of marital treatment. They both have a happier life now. They have gone back to all the duties of their marital life, and they're a happier family at the moment.
One has to first of all understand the difference between depression and normal sadness. Normal sadness is a natural mood phenomenon which any one of us can face at some point of time or the other. I could feel sad if I have lost a near or dear one. One could feel sad if he has failed in an exam. One could feel disappointed if there is a relationship problem. So this is a simple sad mood which is not ongoing, which you feel for the moment and you come out of it. Vis-a-vis, when you define depression, depression is basically an ongoing phenomenon for at least more than 2 weeks, for most part of the day, where you feel sad, you feel helpless, hopeless, worthless, low on energy, don't feel like doing things, don't enjoy things which you earlier enjoyed doing. Your sleep gets disturbed, your appetite gets disturbed, either you eat too much or you just don't feel like eating.
It is estimated that 10 to 15% of people of the given population will suffer from depression at any time. A WHO study said that 1 out of 4 people who are visiting a doctor for any ailment may be suffering from depression. Suicide is also extremely common these days. One hears of suicidal attempts all the time, and 2/3 of the people who attempt suicide may die of suicide.
Cognitive behavioral therapy basically focuses on changing negative thoughts processes and thereby changing the behavior of the patient. Classical example would be that a depressed patient is asked to go to the gym or do some sort of physical exercise wherein he comes back with positive thoughts. Cognitive therapy can be used for various conditions such as marital problems, anxiety problems, eating issues, as well as low self-esteem. It is a self-centered therapy where you get insight about how you think, how you behave, and how you can feel better. CBT can be both individual therapy as well as group therapy. We also have a lot of group sessions which we do in DBT for depression. The main difference between REBT and CBT would be where CBT mostly focused on the thoughts and the behaviors of the depression. Here REBT will now more stress on the emotion and what the patient feels during the depression period. Rational thoughts are more flexible, whereas irrational thoughts are more rigid. An example of rational thoughts would be, I wish things happened more happily in my life, I wish people respected me more and helped me more throughout the life. Irrational thoughts are generally seen as expectations from society, from people and the world in general. These irrational thoughts basically cause irrational emotions or extreme emotions, as we can say, such as anger, agitation, depression, anxiety. If you have more flexible or rational thoughts, you would generally have a concern but not an anxiety. You can feel sad at times when life is not going your way, but you would not fall into a depression. Through this process of REBT, we help the patients go through life in a more comfortable and a more flexible and a more positive way.
Some years back, in the middle of the night, I got an emergency call from a family doctor. The family doctor said, "Ki bhai, I've got one young gentleman, Abhay. I've come to their house and he has slashed his wrist. I've stopped the bleeding, but he is behaving very abnormally and he's just crying and he is hell bent on committing suicide. Please do something." So immediately we organized a team, and within 45 to 50 minutes my team was present over there, and what we found was this 37-year-old gentleman, married, MBA, having a good job otherwise, was muttering to self, very agitated, just kept on saying, "I want to die, I want to die, I want to die." My counselor immediately tried to quieten him down, soothed him, gave him an injection, and with the family members we decided that he would require hospitalization. Immediately we brought him to the hospital, we attended to his wound, sedated him. The next day morning when he woke up, then we were able to speak to him. It was a very typical story. There was a guy who was MBA from IIM, engineer, great job in a big corporate firm, doing very well, married and working kind of 24/7. And at some point of time, he started getting habituated to alcohol. In the evening, in the night, he would not be able to sleep. So in order to get sleep and in order to relax himself, he started having alcohol. It started with one pack and gradually it went on to half a bottle. As a result, his work started getting affected. As a result, his family life started getting affected. As a consequence, one family, the wife decided to go back to her mother's place, because he would, after drink, he would become aggressive and violent. We evaluated him. Again, we realized that this guy was at that point of time, he was overworking. He had got into depression. He did not heed to his family doctors and his company people to take a break and to take some counseling, because he was in the office place also, he was becoming hyper and irritable and excited, and he used to kind of lose top, and he was about to lose the job over there. Treated him with antidepressant, we treated him with medication and with psychotherapy, and within a month we were able to bring him out. Today, fortunately, with successful treatment, he is back with his family. He attends the AA meeting. He is on maintenance antidepressant medication. He is away from alcohol and cigarettes. So this kind of thing we are seeing a lot amongst today's high-profile corporate executives who want to reach the top very fast. As a result, they get burned down. They go into depression. They go into stress. They don't know what to do. They hit the bottle, and their life gets destroyed. So what I feel is, if you are able to give them timely counseling, psychotherapy and maybe medication, things can really work wonders for them.
Addiction. It takes almost everything from you. Believe me, almost everything. I lost my family. I lost myself. It's bad. It's depressing. But it can be cured with the help of family support and proper guidance. I got it. I'm back. I'm back with everything. I'm very happy.
When a girl enters puberty, she is at a susceptible age, because at this time also sometimes what we see is that suddenly she gets moody, she gets irritable, may feel that nobody loves her, may just think that she is not attractive enough, and this sometimes can get so severe that she may suffer from depression, which requires a lot of treatment. She may stop eating, have eating disorders along with this, may lose weight, and may constantly feel that she is not beautiful. It is important that her parents or her teachers refer her to a doctor and she takes treatment at that time.
In the good old days, we had very simple definition where we call depression either endogenous or exogenous. Exogenous, also called as reactive depression, where there would be some factor, some reason, some event, some major event in the life of the person which throws him into depression, like a failed marriage, failed relationship, severe financial loss, etc. etc. Whereas in endogenous depression, there would be no such reactive factor, and for no rhyme or reason, the person goes into depression, feels depressed, feels sad, feels hopeless, just does not feel like getting out of the bed, looks very low, doesn't feel like having a bath, doesn't feel like going to work, doesn't feel like doing anything, and there is no rhyme and reason.
Here I would like to narrate a case of a young adolescent boy. I will call him Azhar. Very brilliant boy, very good family, studying very well in one of the top schools of South Mumbai, always coming first and very good in lots of extracurricular activities and everything going very well. He came in the 8th standard when he was 13. There was family history of depression. His father also had suffered from depression. And suddenly what people found, the family also found, that he suddenly became very quiet. He started talking less. He became moody. He would not sleep in time in the night. In the morning, as a result, he would not be able to get up in time to go to school. He would miss his school many times. People were not realizing that he was going through depression, what his father also had suffered from. And they just kept on, trying in their own ways, family counseling and, giving him battis and whatnot. And there was no change. And when there would be too much of arguments happening in the home, the boy would just leave the house and go away. One fine day he met some friends of his who were smoking something and he was too upset, and those people said, try this will relax you. He tried that smoke, which was marijuana, and he felt very good. Suddenly he felt that all whatever his so-called depression suddenly went away. He enjoyed it and he started doing it every day in the evening. Gradually, it became more and more, to the level that when he had to appear for his final exams, he just failed his exams. He was losing his weight. He had literally stopped going for his sports activities. He started eating more junk food. His self-care had deteriorated, And things were just going from bad to worse. One fine day the family found some packet in the house, and they also caught him once in the bathroom rolling a joint. That is the time when they got alarm, and then they did their homework, and then finally he was brought to me. I had a long chat with the boy, with the family, detailed history. I came to the conclusion that this child was in depression at that point of time, few months back. He did not receive treatment in time. I had to hospitalize him because he was already showing features of severe depression and psychosis. He was there in my rehab for 3 months. We treated him thoroughly with a combination of medications, electroconvulsive therapy, and lots of psychotherapy for him also, as well as for the family also. He came out. Today this boy did wonderfully well. He is out of his habits. He is on maintenance medication. He came back to his old intelligent self, and he is doing very well.
Sometimes people suffer from something that we call as dysthymia, which is a mild kind of a depression where they may not complain of sadness, but other people around them tell us that they're just not interested and they're not happy. They're not enjoying any activity. So even if they have a very happy situation around them, they are unable to express happiness. These are people who may be suffering from what we call as dysthymia. And if this is going on for more than 2 years, then it is important that they also take help. These people may either need some amount of counseling or maybe just a mild medication to get out of it. Ankita, a 13-year-old girl, was brought to me last week by her mother. Ankita has been suffering from loose motions for the last 15 days and is refusing to go to school. But since last year when she has entered the 7th standard, the mother says that her studies have been affected. She does not feel like studying. She often does not do her homework. She has started lying and bunking school at least once or twice a week. The school teachers are very upset with her because so far she was a very good student, but this year her attendance has been low, her grades have fallen, and now the story is that she may just fail the class. She is upset with her parents because she feels that they do not love her. When I asked her about her loose motions, she said that many a times she had pain in the stomach, and this would increase before she had to go to school in the morning. Once the school timing was over, she would feel better. In school, she had had episodes of loose motions and felt that nobody understood her. She often felt like crying in school. She had attacks of shivering, and when she complained to the teachers, she felt that the teachers were not giving her the sympathy she needed. When I saw Ankita's file, there were all the possible investigations done. A lot of doctors, including pediatricians and gastroenterologists, had seen her and they had found nothing abnormal. All her vitamin tests were done, her thyroid was normal, and what we realized was that over the last 1 year, after she had started her periods, Ankita had become a quiet child. She had a lot of friends, but even the friends found her very irritable, and parents said that on small things that she used to get upset and irritated. Ankita's brother also, when we spoke to, found that, said the same things. He was upset with what was happening in the house, but he was trying to distract himself with his friends. Ankita has been very close to her mother. The mother also, we felt that she was suffering from depression because of what was happening in the marriage and was suffering from menopause herself. So often when we see that a child is suffering, we also see that there may be a family history. In Ankita's case, the grandmother has been suffering from depression and a thyroid problem. There was no other family history of depression. A few sessions with Ankita revealed that she was suffering from childhood depression, something which is very common in today's children and teenagers. She used to hate to have a bath. The mother would often go into the bathroom and find a dry bathroom in spite of being told that I've had a shower. They may also want to harm themselves. Ankita showed us wounds that she had tried to kill herself. She did not know why she was doing it, but she said that she would feel good after cutting herself. We had a few sessions with her where we counseled her and also realized that maybe the mother was suffering from depression and needed treatment. The mother was given antidepressants, Ankita was given some vitamins and lots of sessions of counseling where she was also allowed to express herself, and counseling sessions with the mother helped the mother understand her better. The father and the brother were also taken in for counseling, and they were explained that this was a phase that she was going through and she needed a lot of support at this time, and screaming and shouting would not help. A note was sent to the school explaining to them that they should be a little more understanding and help Ankita to cope. Sure enough, a couple of sessions later, her health improved and she started doing better and better. She has now passed the 7th standard and is looking forward to good marks. She has better self-esteem and today they are a happier family. Men suffer from depression, but the problem with men is they are not ready to admit that they are going through a depressive disorder. So often they suffer silently. The whole myth about men being strong and silent. Men are not supposed to cry, men are not supposed to share their feelings. And often men do not know how to share their feelings. So often men would suffer in different ways. Either they may have blood pressure which is just going higher and higher, which is not coming down in spite of treatment, or they land up with cardiac disorders, or they may also land up with stomach ulcers. And the source of all this would be a depression which is untreated and which has just been going on for many years. Manav has a very happy family. He is married to this lady who is also working, has got 2 beautiful children. But since the last 3 months, Manav feels that he is not happy with life any longer. He often worries about getting a heart attack and dying suddenly and cannot even travel any longer. Manav's work requires him to fly once a week, but since the last 3 months, Manav has not been going anywhere. He often makes excuses and says that he's busy or cannot travel or he has meetings. But the truth is that Manav is not feeling confident of even taking a flight. His fear is that on flight he is going to get a heart attack and may not be able to reach the destination that he wants to. He then worries about what will happen to his 2 beautiful children, whether his wife will be able to take care of them. He has not shared these fears with anyone because he feels what will people think about him, they may laugh at him, and feels that it is very silly of him to feel like this. But the truth is that many a times he will go to sleep. He has started taking a drink or 2 in the evening because he is not being able to sleep, and feels that even if he goes to sleep, if he gets some in the middle of the night, he is not be able to go back to sleep again. And often he wakes up in the morning worrying as to what will happen. He keeps visiting doctors, getting his blood pressure checked again and again, only to hear that everything is absolutely alright. He has gone and made a will, he's gone and insured himself, and even if his wife assures him that there's nothing wrong with him, he keeps worrying that maybe, he may get a heart attack, because often he hears that people get heart attacks at this age and they die. Manav is suffering from what we call as an anxiety disorder and dysthymia. Now what typically happens in such people is that even if they have everything, suddenly they may just get a panic attack, and a panic attack is so scary that people think that they're going to get a heart attack. When they go to the doctors, instead of telling them that they have a panic attack, often make the mistake of saying there's nothing wrong with you, your ECG is absolutely fine. But definitely people like Manav feel that something has happened to them and do not understand what has happened. So what happens in a panic disorder is that a person may get repeated anxiety attacks, and every time he gets an attack, he thinks that he is going to die or something terrible is going to happen. Normally and naturally, when these attacks increase, the fear increases and the activity reduces. So these people may stop going out alone, and like in Manav's case, he had stopped flying. But a few weeks of treatment, which included a little bit of medication, a few sessions of counseling, and also explaining to him that definitely something was happening to him and we would help him to cope with it. So Manav was given one medication on a regular basis and one medication was given to him as an SOS. He was also told to have a healthier lifestyle, and slowly what we realized was that his sleep improved, his panic attacks started reducing, and he could cope more and more, and today Manav is able to take any flight. In fact, many a times, even if he has to come for his regular appointment, I often get a message from him that he is very busy, but he is doing well and he is going to come and see me soon. He is just on some maintenance medication now, which in the next 3 months we will reduce and stop it. Manav is a much happier person today.
If a person like me can be victimized of this type of disease, so can anyone. But that doesn't mean life stops here. One must speak up, share the problem with the family, friends, and come with a fighting spirit. Depression can be to anyone, but one has to really have the fighting spirit. My appeal to the society is to be more sensitive and empathetic towards the patient of depression.
Many people, when the depression becomes very severe, they go into what is called a psychotic breakdown, full-fledged psychosis. What we used to earlier call it as psychotic depression, where along with major depression, they lose touch with reality, they lose their insight, their judgment, they start having delusions and hallucination, and they have a lot of cognitive impairment where their intellectual functioning starts deteriorating, and this can become a very, very severe situation, and if we are not able to treat the person in time, either he may commit suicide or he may go into a very chronic severe state of dysthymia and depression, and later on these people also go into dementia.
A few years back, a married couple, Vijay and Shreya, came to my clinic for consultation and advice regarding their ongoing marital problems. They sat down in front of me. The wife looked very dull, disturbed, upset. I wanted to ask her what's happening. She was unable to talk. Finally, the husband said, "Doctor Sahab, we need your help. My wife is into a kind of a relationship which started online on one of the social networking sites. My wife is hell-bent on leaving me and going with that fellow. I'm trying to tell my wife it is not going to work. It will be useless. That fellow will just use you and dump you, but she's just not willing to understand. And I asked her why, what happened? And she said, yes, I was emotionally getting disconnected with my husband, and with this particular person I get a lot of positive vibes, positive feeling. At one point of time when my life was empty, there was nobody for me to talk to. I found this particular person, and if I don't talk to him even for an hour, I just feel very restless, I feel very upset, and I want to finish up this marriage and I want to go. And I'm into an extramarital sexual relation also with this particular person. The husband was willing to accept even then. Maybe some mistake is happening, because otherwise she has been such a wonderful wife, wonderful mother, a wonderful daughter-in-law. We don't know what's happening. I went into the details of this lady and I came to the conclusion that last few months she was suffering from severe depression. She had suddenly started feeling her life empty. Husband was too busy, he used to travel a lot. So there was not much of sex also happening and not much of intimacy happening. And at this point of time, for some reason, she came across this particular gentleman and there was an emotional connect. And it went on to such an extent that she has literally become addicted to him. And she cannot sleep if she doesn't speak to him. I realized that this was a case of major depression and we need to treat her depression. Spoke to both of them. He said, you need to take it very seriously. You will have to be hospitalized. There also the lady said, no, first I'll have to talk last time to him. Only after that I'll be ready to get hospitalized. Anyhow, we convinced her, we hospitalized her. She was psychologically evaluated, we confirmed depression. We treated her with antidepressant, psychotherapy and magnetic therapy. After 1.5 months, she totally came out of it. She realized that that was a kind of an emotional dependency secondary to her depression. And today both husband and wife are very happy.
People who are suffering depression, this is the time they should not worry. Because there was a time when I was also suffering from the same problem. I completely lost my family. I completely lost my senses. I was feeling all alone all the time. Through the family support, through the right medication, I came out of that problem.
Depression affects people's persons and their profession. When you're feeling depressed, you may not be able to put in the number of hours at work that you would want to. You may not feel fresh enough and you're not able to give your best at work. So it's like a vicious cycle. If you're depressed, you're not doing well. Because you're not doing well, you further get depressed. So it's very important to recognize if you or your friends are suffering from depression and do something about it. Take them to the nearest counselor, psychiatrist and take help for it immediately.
I also caught up in certain situations where too much of work pressure, I couldn't handle my children, what to do, how to do. So it's not that कि मैं पागल हूँ या मेरे में अक्ल नहीं है. It's just that sometimes you don't know yourself how to deal with the situation. I spoke to her. I spoke my heart to her and she said, and when you're talking to your psychiatrist, your answers are there only in your talks. And she just guided me, do this, do this, do this. And after that, my relationship with my children was beautiful. One session was good enough for everything.
The same way, this is a problem of the mind, a mental disease. So what is wrong in going to a doctor for that? You should go to a doctor immediately because it's just like taking medicine for a virus or a flu. And also, the people who take this medicine, remember, never to undermine them, never make them feel guilty, never ever make them feel that they're mad or something. It's a simple problem. Like a virus, like a flu or a typhoid, it is connected to the mind, a mental disease. Take medicine and get cured.
My message to parents, to school authorities and college authorities, please recognize psychological problems in the young generation. And not just recognizing, find out ways, how can we prevent, and if it is there, how do we treat in time.